Hey everyone, Steve here with Slurv, bringing you some cash game Cornerstones. It's August 3rd, it's a Wednesday. We got kind of a medium slate it's like 12 games, I think. So let's get right to it. So it's, medium large. Catchers, kind of some interesting options today, I think. For one, the Rockies catcher, whoever that might be, probably Hundley is in play, but I'm really kind of liking going all the way down to McCann against Chris Sale, which obviously is a tough matchup, but I don't think it's an insurmountable one that can't be paid off. But for his 2.6 salary on DK, also 2.6 on FanDuel, so pretty nice cheap option there. Although on FanDuel, I think I would rather go with VMart, who's a catcher there, Victor Martinez, 2.8, so just a little bit more expensive. But he just has insane BVP against Sale. I mean, if you don't like BVP at all, then I don't know, maybe not the play for you. But it's like a 500 average with a couple of homers. Like it's pretty crazy. And then if you're paying up a little bit, I like Stephen Vogt against Weaver. 3.3 on DK and 3.0 on FanDuel. Really shouldn't have too much trouble with salary today because the top end pitching options aren't that appealing. I don't think. I think some of the more high mid-range guys are more appealing. So really, I think you should be able to fit just about all the bats you want. Speaking of VMart, while I much prefer him in the catcher slot on FanDuel, he is a first baseman on DK, and I think he's in play there too. He's only 3.2 there, and like I mentioned before, just insane BVP against Sale, including in their recent game, fairly recent. And then as far as paying up goes, I really like David Ortiz against Iwakuma, even though it's in Seattle, so it's a little bit of a ballpark downgrade for him. He's still one of the best hitters, but he is priced like it at 5.3 on DK, 4.3 on FanDuel, maybe a little relatively cheaper, but it's still one of the top, most expensive players. However, I think it's a good day to roll that out without the the 13K Scherzer or Mad Bum to pay all the way up for. But if you find yourself really short on salary, especially on FanDuel, I think that Justin Smoke makes an interesting play there. I don't like to give up first base slot for cheap guys unless there's a lot of upside there, and there definitely is with Smoke. I mean, he can hit one out pretty easily, strong hitter. So definitely don't mind him against McHugh, who's been kind of struggling and is not great against lefties in general. But really, I mean, if you're not playing VMart on DK, then I would play Ortiz. From this point on in my advice, there's kind of a disturbing trend of me recommending Atlanta batters in cash, which may surprise you. I don't know. I mean, Jace Peterson had a really good run as a cash batter there for a while, and following in his footsteps, kind of, we got Gordon Beckham leading off against Jeff Locke, who is just really, really bad, especially against right-handed batters. This is what's bringing in to play these Atlanta guys. Plus, the Atlanta lineup's, not nearly as sad as it used to be. 10% less sad. And Beckham's only 3.2 on DK, 3.1 on FanDuel. I definitely like his DK price better. On FanDuel, I quite like Howie Kendrick, especially if he's near the top of the order against Anderson in Coors Field. He's 3.8 on FanDuel and 4.8 on DK, so a healthy discount on FanDuel. And I would definitely kind of shoot up for him there if you can. But if not, I think Beckham's a fine option on both sides. Whoa, third base is crowded today. So just a reminder again, Arenado, very good at baseball. This Brock Stewart kid has some pretty impressive strikeout stuff, but he also struggled mightily in his brief stint in the majors earlier this year. So, buyer beware on both him if you choose to roster Stewart, which I would not, not in Coors anyway. But with Arenado, some risk there. And he is 5.2 on DK and 4.2 on FanDuel, so I can see not wanting to take that even little bit of risk there. which is understandable with all the other options we got. I mean, I talked about Atlanta batters a little bit, and Adonis Garcia is hitting second. And, you know, he can do some pretty mean things to lefties, and Jeff Locke gives up a ton of hard contact to right-handed batters. He's 3.5 on DK, 3.1 on FanDuel. Kind of same story with first base, that I don't like to give up that slot unless there's a lot of upside there. But Adonis is another guy who's a power hitter, can hit at one, maybe even two. I don't know. Maybe he's hit two in a game before. I have to look that up. And then FanDuel is just really begging you to play Jose Ramirez against Tyler Duffy. This is not Danny Duffy, the guy who struck out 16. It's Tyler Duffy, the not bad but not anywhere near like Danny Duffy guy. And Jose Ramirez is 4.7 on DK, which forget about that. But he's 2.8 on FanDuel, which definitely puts him in play in cash. He's not a favorite guy of mine to roster, but that kind of price is hard to ignore. But I bet we all wish we had more of the San Francisco Philly game yesterday. Man, that, I don't know, 19, 20 runs, something like that. It was insane. And I like some batters from that game again today, namely Brandon Crawford against Aaron Nola. It's just a tougher matchup than yesterday against Eflin, I think. But all the same, you know, he's 4.0 on DK, 3.0 on FanDuel. Shortstop is pretty barren today. Not a whole lot of guys that really just jump out at you. Assuming he's back in the lineup today because he was a late scratch due to injury yesterday. I like Zach Cozart against Waka. You know, Waka's not a terrible pitcher, but Cozart has had success against him in the past, and the Great American Ballpark is always a nice place to hit. And, you know, Cozart has some home run upside as a shortstop, too. He's 3.8 on DK and 3.5 on FanDuel, so being more than Crawford on FanDuel is a little bit rough. But on DK, if he's in the lineup there today, I think he's a good bet. So DK still hasn't priced up David Dahl. I'm not sure what exactly they're waiting for because, you know, he's a 3K, very high upside, middle of the order batter in Coors Field, and he's 3.7 on FanDuel, which is much more reasonable. He hasn't done all that much, although, you know, he's had a home run. He's had some nice hits. But definitely, you know, I'd like some Coors exposure in my cash games today. I expect Dahl to still be very popular on DK especially, so I think he's a good way to go there. I also really like Cargo, much like yesterday. I'm not that concerned about Stewart. You know, I mentioned that he's got some strikeout stuff, but again, this is Coors Field. This is a guy who's pitched all of like 6 innings in the majors, and we're talking about Arenado, and in this case, Cargo. So at 5.3 on DK, you know, he's really expensive, but again, I don't think there's going to be too much issue with that today with needing salary relief. 4.0 on FanDuel. One of the cheaper guys that I do like is Seth Smith against Porcello. Hopefully Smith will be up near the top of the lineup. The Mariners really like to mix their lineup up pretty often. So hopefully he's up in the 2 hole as he often is. 3.2 on DK, 2.9 on FanDuel. Pretty nice prices there on both sites. And then one real value play for FanDuel is Scott Schebler, who had a home run yesterday. And I think it was maybe his first major league home run. I'm not sure, but it was awesome. Game-winning walk-off home run. It was a good game, actually. I watched all of it. But anyway, he's 2.7 on DK. I don't hate him at that price if you really need the savings too, but he's bare minimum 2.0 on FanDuel. So I rostered him yesterday. That's why I'm a little excited about his walk-off homer. But yeah, so 2.0, you know, it's hard to argue with that. Hopefully he's not stuck way down at the bottom of the lineup, but, you know, 6th, even 7th, it's a pretty interesting spot. But like I said, you may not need the salary relief. So there's also strong guys to consider, like Stephen Piscotty against Cody Reed, who just gives up a ton of hard contact to right-handed batters, and they're also in the Great American Ballpark. 4.8 on DK and 3.5 on FanDuel. And I mentioned how bad Jeff Locke is, especially against the righties. And now Atlanta has Matt Kemp in the lineup, batting cleanup there. So this is what, like the third Brave that I've recommended. It's kind of scary for me, honestly. He's 4.8 on DK, which is certainly pricey. 3.5 on FanDuel, not cheap either, but not too bad. You know, I mean, if you can fit him in, I think I would probably go with Piscotty first, but I definitely like them both, and we'll see how things shake out as lineups continue to come out. And on that note, come back and see us later at 5 p.m. Eastern. We're having the expert chat where myself, Adam, Max, and Eric will get on there and talk some lineups, answer all of your questions, and figure out how to win lots of money tonight. So come on back by slurv.com. We'll be hanging around the tailgate on and off, and there'll be some written content and fun and games and parties. And good luck tonight, guys.